Now, education unions say that they are concerned about the state of readiness at many of the schools across the country, and that there are the schools are, of course, expected to reopen today. But 5 unions, the South African Democratic Teachers Union, Satu, the National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa, Naptosa, South African Teachers Union, SAO, and the Professional Educators Union, PEU, along with the National Teachers Union, Natu, they all recently conducted a survey which actually showed that only 57% of the schools who participated in that study are fully equipped to reopen for the 2021 academic year. 57% of schools. Now, the unions say that many schools are in poor and rural communities and cannot afford to buy the basic personal protective equipment like sanitizers and masks. And according to the survey, many schools are expected to use their own funds to purchase COVID-19 related supplies. And we're joined now by President of the National Professional Teachers Organization of South Africa, Naptosa, Nkosiphendule, Ntantala. Thanks so much and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much, Sakina. Good morning to you and your viewers.
So only 57% of schools participating in the study say they are ready. What did the rest say?
The rest of the other schools indicated that they were still awaiting their consignments. They were not certain whether those consignments were to be received between the 10th and the 15th of February. But our indications from the survey is that the 57% have received, and we don't know what's going to happen. But listening to the briefing by the minister yesterday and the DG, they gave a different picture, indicating that quite a number of schools will be ready.
And with regard to the PPEs, who is actually responsible? Is it the school or is it the department?
The Department of Basic Education, the provincial education departments are responsible. We have heard from the survey that some schools have resorted into requesting parents to ensure that when learners get to school today, they must be provided with masks by their parents. That was in the event that the PPE consignments do not arrive at the schools.
But when we hear about communication, higher level communication coming down from the department, the indication is that schools are ready. So are you saying to me that that's not quite the case on the ground?
I cannot say for certain now that this is the case because our survey results were received on the 9th. We do not know what has been happening between the 9th and yesterday, but we will be out there to put our ears on the ground to establish what is the actual situation that is taking place today.
Mr. Ntantala, in which parts of the country did your survey indicate that most schools were actually not ready?
Yes, about 7 of our provinces indicated that quite a number of schools were not ready in terms of the survey that we conducted.
So 7 provinces, which are the 2 provinces that are most ready at this point?
Come again, Sakina?
Which 2 provinces are most ready at this point?
Yeah, some of the schools are ready, some of the schools are not. And some of the schools will be using their own funds to purchase PPEs for the time being.
All right. Mr. Ntantala, did your survey look at the feeling around the catch-up work from the 2020 academic year that has to be completed in 2021? And if so, how do educators actually feel about this? Are they ready to start with that?
Educators are ready to start with the catch-up program, but I must indicate it's going to be a very daunting task because you will remember the current grade 12s who were in grade 11 in 2020 did not finish the syllabus. And the expectation is that they must now catch up in 2021. So they have to do a catch-up with the 2020 grade 11 work and at the same time cover the grade 12 work. So it's going to be a very challenging task, especially that the adjusted annual teaching plans will have to be re-looked into given that there was this 2 weeks delay to the reopening of the schools.
So please talk to us, Mr. Ntantala, about the morale and the levels of anxiety amongst the principals and the school management team and all other teachers by extension about schools reopening for learners today, especially those who do not have the appropriate sanitizing equipment.
Yeah, most definitely. There's a lot of anxiety out there. But our communication with the SMTs indicates that part of the responsibility that the SMTs have taken upon themselves is to encourage and motivate teachers to do the best that they can to help the schools and particularly to help the learners.
And at this stage, Mr. Ntantala, do you think that psychosocial support is needed at schools, and is any provided that you know of?
Most definitely, there's a lot of psychosocial support that's going to be needed, especially taking into consideration that some of the schools might have lost members of staff, whether professional staff or support staff, and some of them have lost learners. Now, the expectation is that given the spike in infections and what people have been experiencing in the communities, there's a lot of anxiety. But the survey has indicated that at the least, our SMTs and the teachers are a bit prepared for that. The Department of Basic Education has guaranteed to us, the unions, that there will be psychosocial support. However, we do not have certainty as to where that psychosocial support will be received. We know for a fact that in some of the districts, you do have psychologists and therapists that are readily available to assist the schools. But the question of how adequate that support is leaves much to be desired.
And just a final question, and may not necessarily be pertaining to your members who would be in the main teachers, but there were a number of support staff that was allocated in many schools for teachers. You had teacher assistants being appointed, and we've received quite a lot of communication from them complaining that they had not been paid. Mr. Ntantala, how much do you know about this, and do you know whether they have been paid by now?
Yes, we know that some of the educator assistants were not paid. Some of them were paid very late in January, and the process of payment of those educator assistants is still continuing. The unions are currently engaging with the provincial departments and the schools with a view to ensure that these educator assistants ultimately get their payments, because at the moment, the work that they are doing in the schools is very critical, particularly considering that you have some of the teachers not coming in because of comorbidities. So those educator assistants have to stand in the gap to ensure that they assist the learners in whatever way that the SMTs deem fit.
Mr. Nkosiphendule Ntantala, speaking to us there. He is from Naptosa, and a survey was conducted by 5 major education unions in connection with schools reopening today. And you heard what those surveys found. 57% of schools not quite ready. And unfortunately, it's the oft-repeated refrain that these are schools in rural areas in the main, and also some of these located in townships. So we'll keep an eye on those developments throughout the day. Our reporters fanned out across the country to do just that. We are